Good late Saturday afternoon, everybody. This is Greg coming to you once again from the radio collection. Haven't done a video for quite some time showing off the radios, but I thought it's about time I put together something to show off some of the latest acquisitions. This little guy is probably the smallest antique radio I have now. I just recently acquired this in December. It's a little 1948 Arvin Mighty Midget, little 4-tube radio. Plays well if you have a long wire antenna connected, but without it you don't get too much in the way of sound other than buzzing because it's in an all-metal cabinet and it doesn't shield itself very well. But it's a nifty little set. Then I have a very special item that I acquired that was something that I never expected in a million years I'd ever find. This is a picture of Bing Crosby broadcasting the Kraft Music Hall in about 1944-45 in front of an NBC microphone, RCA Model 44. Well, as luck would have it, I happened to find one of those NBC badges that went on those microphones. And what you're seeing is not an actual RCA ribbon microphone. You can't touch one of those for under $2,000. If you do, you're very lucky. And not wanting to spend $2,000 on the microphone when I spent just a fraction of that on this ultra rare original NBC microphone tag, I made that microphone. It's actually a block of wood, and I formed a piece of mesh around it and made the frame and a mounting bracket for it, mounted it on a stand, and it looks the part, you know. It looks like the microphone, but it's a whole lot cheaper than spending $2,000 on a static display microphone. So it kind of was a nifty display showing the original microphone and a color picture from 1945 and the real microphone tag right next to it. Picked up a Vogue picture record, something I had always wanted, and makes a nice little display on my 1942 Philco wireless record player, which sits atop my 1938 Zenith shutter dial. It's a model 7S258. This is kind of a novelty. This is a 1948 Bing Crosby Majorette record player. A little kid's record player that I restored and painted it, and it actually has says right there, Bing Crosby Majorette. Plays reasonably well for a child's record player. Volume isn't terribly loud, but it might have something to do with the cartridge I used in it. Might have to put a different cartridge in it. But it has some nifty little Majorette designs across it, and the paint is still in very good shape for being that old. I didn't do anything with the white paint. I repainted the blue. Had some rust. I repainted the tone arm. That's kind of a nifty thing. That sits on top of my 1938 Fairbanks Morris. Way back when I began collecting antique radios in 1982. Actually, it was earlier than that, but this book came out in 1982 and I've had it ever since. I've always admired this Cathedral radio on the cover. It's an RCA. And I never thought that one day I would acquire a set just like that. And just in the last year or two, I did. And here it is. 1933 RCA Victor, model 121. Very cool looking Cathedral. It has a very small speaker in it. It's only about a 4-inch speaker behind all that grill work, but really has a nifty design. I was glad to be able to add one of those to my collection. And I acquired some little novelty sets. I always wanted a little Hopalong Cassidy radio, and I picked one of those up recently. There you go. And this is a 1948 Philco. They call that the Flying Wedge, I believe. And I picked up this little 1940 Motorola. I always thought they were kind of neat looking. They kind of look like the grill of a late 1930s car. Here's a display of Philco cathedrals. Got a Model 70 on the right, Model 60, Model 89, and a 1937, let's see, I can't even remember what it is. There's the tag. That's what it is. So it kind of traces the origins of the Philco Cathedral. This, of course, being the most famous cathedral design that Philco had. Actually, for most radios, that was the iconic design. They made a Model 20, Model 70, and a Model 90. Picked up this nifty 1931 Philco radio clock. It's actually a timer. You plug your radio in the back of it, and you can set the off time and the on time. It'll automatically turn your set on and off. Pretty handy thing. Amazing that they had that in 1931. And I had always wanted a Zenith Walton radio, but you could never afford the ridiculous prices. So I was able to find a set, and this is actually a handmade reproduction cabinet that my dad was able to make, and it's pretty amazing. This is actually a 9S chassis, and it's sort of a Franken Walton, I guess you'd call it, because it's, you know, not a factory numbers correct chassis and cabinet, but it certainly looks the part, and I'm tickled pink to have one. Moving down in the basement, I have a lot of new acquisitions down here. This I picked up last January at an antique show. 1938 Philco Model 38-5. It's a huge table model. They actually use the same chassis in a console version with the concentric tuning. This one they use the shadow meter and the traditional dial they used in 37-38. Nice looking set. And over here, this is my Atwater Kent display. These are all 1930s Atwater Kent radio. This is a very recent restoration. Just finished this a few weeks ago of a 1931 Model 82. That was sort of an iconic cathedral design too that Atwater Kent had. They went more to a point. And here's a 1934 Model 206. This is sort of a iconic cabinet design too. Later, back in the 80s, I think it was, they actually reproduced a cabinet similar to this, one of those Crosley Chinese-made radios with a cassette tape player on the side. This is the real deal, and Atwater Kent always would put their model number right in the dial escutcheon. There it says 206 on the bottom. This is a Model 145, 1935. It says 145 down there. That I've had a few years, and little baby cathedral down here, Model 944. So it makes for a nice display, kind of looks like a little family of Atwater Kents. So you got the father, mother, and the two little kids. And we've got some Atwaters up here, Model 40, Model 35, and a Model 20 compact. And this over here is a Westinghouse. Very nice original finish on that. It's a WR22 model, 1935. And I've got some Philcos over here. One on the left is a battery set, made a battery eliminator for it. The two Model 84s in 1934 and a 1937, kind of the last year they did them. Both use pretty much the same chassis, just a little different cabinet design. And I picked up a Philco sled recently. Good restoration on that. Finish is all original on it. This is a 1950 Philco. It has sort of a sundial effect for the dial. They're a nifty little radio. And this here is an American Bosch, 1936. It has a nifty dial on it. The needle is actually two slits in the back panel that light up red when the set is on. So got the Zenith think they call that a chevron, upside down chevron, 1946.